In this section, I'm going to discuss about the sensors within smart phones. The smartphones or the mobile phones play a significant role in IoT systems architecture. One of the key reasons is that the smartphones are computing devices. They are ubiquitously available among people, so you don't have to buy new one. So you can assume that most of the people have some kind of smartphone. And then smartphones have a computation power as well as large number of sensors. So most of the new sensors have rotation vectors, linear acceleration, humidity, orientation, gravity, magnetic field, accelerometer, ambient temperature, gyroscope, light, pressure, proximity, increasingly sometimes heart rate sensors. So there are a lot of sensors embedded already in the mobile phone. So when you are designing an IoT application, you could probably think about how you could utilize those existing sensors opportunistically. For example, you could use them to detect humidity or light. For example, if you are getting access to these sensors from a large number of people, you can actually create a humidity map. Or you can use these sensors, including GPS sensors, to detect where people go and move and how fast. So you can determine how people move into a stadium during an event, how they go out of a stadium at a particular time, how fast they move within a street. So all those kind of things you can measure completely free of charge, in the sense that you don't have to deploy any kind of sensors. So this opportunistic nature and the abundantly available mobile devices create new opportunities for IoT system designers. So you can think about getting access to the data without actually deploying your own sensors. However, you need to make sure that you are not violating anyone's privacy, as well as you are respecting the fact that they are maintaining their mobile phones, charging them, not just for you to use it. So when you are using it, make sure you don't drain their battery or obstruct any activities they usually perform in a mobile phone. To understand the sensors within the smartphones, please pause this video and go and watch the video I have put here on what sensors are in a smartphone. This is a bit of an old figure, but it actually tells the point very clearly. So increasingly, year by year, the mobile phone manufacturers are embedding more and more sensors into the mobile phone. For example, in 2010, there were 3 sensors in their smartphone by Samsung Galaxy. By 2015, the number of sensors they are embedding to the smartphone increases to 14. This shows the trend where mobile phone manufacturers are keen on embedding more and more sensors and gathering more and more information about the end users and consumers in order to extract knowledge and better serve their customers. In the previous slide, we saw a clear trend that smartphone manufacturers are increasingly embedding sensors into the mobile phones. But here we are looking at why they are doing that, why they are adding more sensors. So basically, we're looking at the usage of sensors. There are many different types of information that can be extracted by analyzing the data coming from each of these sensors. However, they are primarily embedded into mobile phones due to their primary reasons. So one of the primary reasons of having a proximity sensor is to make sure that you don't accidentally press buttons when you are taking calls. Your cheek would touch the screen, but the proximity sensor would know that, so it will stop you pressing any buttons accidentally. So the magnetometer will measure the strength of the magnetic field around the device to determine what direction you are moving. Accelerometer sensor will help the operating system to determine whether you are holding the display vertically or horizontally. Gyroscope has been used to non-blur the photos by identifying and correcting camera shakes. Camera sensors are typically help the companies to understand what you are looking at. Of course, they are helping you to take selfies, but analyzing your photos, they will also be able to understand what your preference is, where do you go, move, so they can create a trail of your activities, and then perhaps make a better personalization based on that. Microphone is the basic sensor which was there from the beginning of the smartphones, which allows you to communicate. A fingerprint sensor helps you to add more security, but increasingly they are sometimes used as health monitoring as well, to measure your blood pressure. Thermometers are used to protect the devices from overheating, because if you left the phone out in the sun, to protect the battery, it will shut it off if the temperature is too high. The light sensor, which help the operating system to determine what kind of place you are and change the screen brightness accordingly. And then speedometer, which helps to track your steps. Increasingly more and more sensors are using it these days. Likewise, there are many different sensors embedded in these mobile phones. Companies, manufacturers are keen on getting more information about you to provide a more personalized experience. Behind the scenes, I think they're also interested in getting more marketing and advertisement revenue for them by understanding your behavior patterns, your likes and dislikes, and doing more personalized marketing and advertising, which generate revenue for them. There are a lot of privacy concerns on these sensors, which we'll be discussing in a later lesson, which is dedicated to privacy and security. We have now reached the end of lesson number 3, sensing and actuation. I hope you have learned about sensors and actuation within the IoT system design, and different types of sensors and actuators, and how you are going to pick the right one for your own need. And I also hope that you now would appreciate the challenges related to errors in sensing and some of the ways to mitigate them. So it is not just straightforward as you get a sensor from a store and just plug them. So you need to think about a lot about what is you want to achieve by having those sensors, and what kind of quality of the sensor that will determine the accuracy, reliability, and range, and many other factors. And also you need to think about the sizes of the sensors that you need. So I hope you already received a broad understanding of the sensors and actuators. In the next section, we are going to discuss the network communication and how we are transporting data packets from one IoT device to the other.